My fiancé texted me coldly, "Weds off. Expect a call from my lawyer." I calmly replied, "As you wish." I was standing in line at the grocery store holding frozen lasagna and lavender-scented trash bags when the message came through. Just 8 words, no emotion, no explanation, just a period at the end, like I was a contract he decided to void. The cashier had to tell me twice that it was my turn. I paid, drove home in silence, and sat in the car for 15 minutes. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I just shut down. And with a strange kind of calm, I texted back, "As you wish." Because I knew what that message really meant. It wasn't just the wedding. It was his way of saying, "Don't contact me again. My lawyer will handle you." But he forgot something important. We had just signed preliminary mortgage documents for a gorgeous new townhome outside Seattle. He picked it. He had already talked about the backyard BBQs, the home office setup, even told his friends it was basically his. But the thing is, nothing was finalized and we weren't married, which meant I was still legally unbound. Before I even took off my coat that night, I opened my laptop, logged into the mortgage portal, and withdrew my application. Just 3 clicks, and the whole thing collapsed like a house of cards. Petty, maybe. But after all the sacrifices I made, including turning down a promotion in Chicago to stay close to his family, it wasn't about revenge. It was about self-respect. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. Voicemail. "Hello, this is the attorney for Mr. C. Fiance. We urgently request a callback regarding your mortgage withdrawal. This action may constitute breach of contract." I actually laughed urgently. Now he was in a panic. I didn't call back. I stayed silent. And silence has a way of making people squirm. Less than 48 hours later, a mutual friend called me sounding awkward. "Did you really pull out of the mortgage?" "Yeah, because he's freaking out. Apparently, he told his parents they'd have a guest room and already ordered a patio set." I wanted to say not my problem, but I bit my tongue. Then she added, "He's saying you're being vindictive." That made me laugh. I wasn't punishing him. I was just done. But what no one knew, not even my closest friends, was that I had already started noticing things. Weird behavior, late-night texts, work emergencies that didn't add up, a strange coldness that crept in slowly. I started connecting dots, and then out of nowhere, his cousin messaged me. "Just ask him about Spencer," he wrote. Spencer, at first. I didn't recognize the name, but when I checked my fiancé's tagged photos, I saw one from a party. The same weekend, he told me he was sick and staying in. He wasn't in the photo, but Spencer was, arm around him, way too familiar. That was the moment my sadness shifted. I contacted the mortgage company again and locked my withdrawal. Then I called an old friend in Chicago, the one who'd offered me that promotion. "Is the offer still open?" I asked. "Absolutely," she said. "We'll make it work." Still, I heard nothing from him until Sunday. 32 missing notifications, not from him, from our bank. He had tried to empty our joint wedding fund, $10,000, all from my year-end bonus. The bank flagged the transaction. It was shady and under his name only. Then his lawyer emailed, "My client believes he's entitled to a portion, except he never contributed a dime." I had records. My new attorney fired back immediately, denying paternity of any future claims, freezing financial access, demanding a full asset disclosure. And that's when the next bomb dropped. I got a call from a friend. Her voice shook. "He's telling everyone you're pregnant and that the baby might not be his. He's saying you cheated." I felt the floor drop out beneath me. 8 weeks ago, he was on a cleanse, wouldn't even touch me. Claimed he was recharging for the honeymoon. He knew exactly what he was doing, building his narrative, tying me to a lie before I could speak. Then came the twist I never expected. Spencer messaged me. I don't want to be part of whatever game he's playing. He told me everything. That my ex claimed I hit him. That I was manipulative and abusive, unstable. I had never laid a hand on that. Man, I gave him everything. Years of my life, unconditional love, and a future. And he tried to erase me with a lie. But this time, I fought back. He thought he could humiliate me and walk away untouched. But he forgot one thing. I wasn't afraid of starting. My fiance texted me coldly. Weds off. Expect a call from my lawyer. I stared at my phone in shock, standing in line at the grocery store with frozen lasagna in one hand and lavender trash bags in the other. 8 words, no emotion, no explanation. Just a period at the end, like I was some contract he decided to void. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just went numb. I walked out of the store, sat in my car for 15 minutes, and finally texted, "Back as you wish." Because I knew what that message really meant. He wasn't just canceling our wedding. He was erasing me from his life and letting a lawyer do the cleanup. But what he forgot was that he wasn't the only one capable of playing it cold. We had just signed preliminary mortgage documents for a gorgeous townhome near Seattle. He had picked it himself. He had bragged to his parents about BBQs on the patio, the home office he'd claim as his space, and even ordered furniture. But nothing was finalized. No marriage certificate. And my name was the one tied to the finances. That night, before even taking off my coat, I logged into the mortgage portal and clicked Withdraw Application. 3 clicks. Everything collapsed. 2 hours later, I got a voicemail. "This is the attorney for Mr. C. We urgently request a callback regarding your mortgage withdrawal. This action may constitute breach of contract." I laughed. Now he cared. The next day, mutual friends started calling. "Did you really pull out of the mortgage?" "He's freaking out. His parents were expecting to move in with him later." I stayed silent. Let him squirm. But what no one knew was that I'd already noticed the cracks. Late-night texts, work trips that didn't add up. Distance that crept in like fog. Then one night, his cousin sent me a DM. "Just ask him about Spencer." I checked. Social media. There it was, a tagged photo from a party the same weekend he'd told me he was sick in bed. He wasn't in the photo, but Spencer was. Arm around him, too close, too familiar. My stomach dropped. That night, I called my old friend in Chicago, the one who'd offered me that big promotion months ago. The one I turned down to stay near him. "Is the job still open?" I asked. "Absolutely," she said. I emailed my resignation the next morning. Meanwhile, I gathered evidence. Bank statements showing I funded our joint wedding account. Screenshots of his texts to Spencer. Photos from social media. I hired an attorney and froze our joint accounts before he could drain them. Sure enough, he tried. The bank flagged. His $10,000 withdrawal, attempt the wedding fund. My attorney immediately filed for fraud. Then came the slander. Friends began whispering. He was telling people I was pregnant and cheating, that I was unstable, that he left me for my lies. I stayed quiet because silence is louder than denial when you have proof. And then Spencer messaged me. "I'm done covering for him. He told me you hit him. He's lying about you. I'm sorry, I didn't know what he was capable of." Spencer sent me screenshots of their conversations. My fiance bragging about using me for the house, my money, even saying, "She'll never see it coming." That was it. I compiled everything into a neat PDF, texts, receipts, screenshots, timestamps. On the night of his company's annual gala, the one he'd been hyping for months, Side sent it to HR. His parents, every mutual friend, and Spencer's family. By midnight, his phone was blowing up. HR launched an ethics investigation. His parents called me, sobbing, apologizing. Spencer's brother nearly fought him. His perfect man image shattered in a single evening. The next day, he showed up at my apartment, red-eyed, desperate, begging me to talk. I made a mistake. I love you. We can fix this. I cut him off, holding the divorce papers I'd filed preemptively. You called me stupid for not knowing. Surprise, I knew, and I'm done. He reached for me, but I stepped back. You don't get to break me, then beg me to put you back together. 2 weeks later, I was on a flight to Chicago. New city, new job. A raise, a fresh start. My lawyer emailed to tell me he'd accepted a settlement. He'd forfeited all claims to the house or the wedding fund to avoid court. A month after that, a friend texted me a photo, him sitting alone in a bar, hair a mess, staring at his phone. The caption read, "Guess his lawyer couldn't fix this." Story 2. Oh, son-in-law. We left our wallet at home and our cards too. My wife's parents laughed out loud when the restaurant brought a bill for $200,000 for their anniversary. But there, laughter stopped when I calmly said, Chapter 1. The Setup. I should have known something was off when my in-laws insisted. I make the reservation somewhere elite. It's our 35th anniversary. My father-in-law, Navev, boomed. A man only hits that milestone once. We'll go somewhere classy. Don't worry. We'll cover everything. His wife, Selma, chimed in. Yes, Beta. Just make the booking. We don't need help. We've got it. That was a lie. A rehearsed one. I should have said no, but I didn't because I wanted to be the respectful son-in-law. The man, my wife, Aisha could proudly point to when her parents bragged to their friends. I'd spent years trying to gain their approval. And every time I got close, they moved the finish line. So I booked the most luxurious spot in the city, Lumiere Royale, a place where celebrities dined behind velvet curtains, where the chandeliers cost more than my car, and the wine menu didn't list prices. Because if you had to ask, you couldn't afford it. We arrived in style. I wore my best tailored suit. Aisha looked stunning in emerald green. Navev and Salma dressed like royalty. Salma in diamond earrings that sparkled under candlelight. Navev in a navy shanty and Italian loafers. From the moment we walked in, they acted like they owned the place. Loud, boastful. Snapping selfies with waitstaff and asking for custom dishes off menu. I kept smiling, even when the manager gave me nervous glances. Then came the food. 12 courses, imported wines, golden desserts. They ordered everything. Bottles popped, dishes piled up, and the table echoed with their laughter, especially Navev's booming chuckle. This place is nothing, he said, waving his hand. Beta, let's come here every week. Then came the bill, presented in a sleek leather folder placed gently before Navev. He didn't even open it. He pushed it toward me with a grin. Actually, Beta, small issue. We left our wallet at home and our cards. You don't mind, do you? Salma giggled. Oh, come on. We're family. You'll pay now. We'll get the next one. The waiter stood silently waiting. The bill was 200,000 rupees. They laughed out loud. I didn't. Instead, I leaned back slowly, looked Navev in the eye, and said calmly, Chapter 2. The Turning Point. I leaned back in my chair, the laughter of my in-laws still ringing like cheap bells in a glass room. Navev was slapping the table like he'd just told the joke of the century. Selma dabbled at her mouth with a linen napkin, smug and glowing. But me, I simply looked up at the waiter, then turned to Navev and said, I didn't order a single dish tonight. This bill is yours. The laughter stopped. Dead Navev blinked, then snorted. Excuse me, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I came here because you invited me. You both said clearly that you were treating. I booked the table like you asked, but everything you ordered from the oysters to the third bottle of imported French wine was your choice. I didn't eat. I didn't drink. I just sat here like a polite fool. But I'm done. The waiter, bless him, looked between us with the frozen face of a man caught between two exploding grenades. Salma leaned in, her voice sharp. Are you trying to embarrass us, John? You'd humiliate your own in-laws in public over money. I met. Her gaze. No, Salma, you've embarrassed yourselves, and you've done it for years, belittling me behind my back, mocking my work, calling me temporary at every family gathering. Tonight you made a show of pretending you were royalty, but this, I tapped the bill gently. This is reality. Navev scoffed, his face turning red. Do you have any idea who I am? I can buy this whole place if I wanted to. The waiter cleared his throat, professionally soft. Sir, if there's a payment issue, I can call the manager. No need, I said. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out my own wallet. I slid a black card across the table toward the waiter. But this, I added, eyes locked on Navev, isn't for their dinner. The waiter hesitated. Sir, I'll be paying for my seat only. Service charge and tip included. You can separate the bill, right? He nodded slowly, understanding dawning in his eyes. Of course, sir. Navev looked like he'd swallowed alive. Cole, you can't be serious. I've never been more serious, I replied. For years, I tried to earn your respect. Tonight, I stopped caring. Then, just as the waiter turned to handle the split, I added, oh, and one more thing. There are cameras. In this restaurant, I've already informed them not to delete tonight's footage. So, if you try to storm out, shout, cause a scene, or disappear, I'll press charges. That was it. The final nail. Salma looked like she might faint. Navev sat stone still, jaw twitching. They were exposed, not just to me, but to the surrounding. Tables now whispering, staring. Phones likely recording, and me. I sat back, calm, in control. Because for the first time since marrying into their house of delusion, I had flipped the script. Chapter 3. The Public Price of Arrogance. The restaurant had gone still, not silent, but worse, quiet enough to hear the shame. The couple at the next table was whispering behind raised menus. A young guy near the bar angled his phone discreetly. A group of businessmen, clearly regulars, here shook their heads in pity and a bit of amusement. The waiter returned with the split bill. Mine, 7,500 rupees, paid with a smile. Theirs, 192,500 rupees. Navev's hands twitched as he took the slip. His eyes scanned it once, then a second time as if the numbers would change under pressure. They can't be serious, he muttered. They are, I replied, and so am I. Salma leaned over the table, her voice a sharp whisper now. You're humiliating? Your wife's parents. No, I said, standing and adjusting my coat. You did that when you made me into your personal bank account. When you lied, ordered the most expensive items, and thought I'd just nod and pay again. You humiliated yourselves. I'm just the mirror. I turned to Aisha, who'd been watching the entire scene in silence. Her eyes glistened, not with tears, but with realization. Her voice was soft. Why didn't you tell me you were planning this? Didn't want to drag you into it, I said. You've spent your whole life trapped under their control. I wanted you to see for yourself. She looked at her parents, then back at me, then nodded slowly. The manager, having been quietly called over, now stood beside the waiter. Is there a problem with the payment, sir? He asked Navev politely. Navev's voice trembled with rage. My wallet is at home. My cards, too. This is ridiculous. The manager remained professional. Unfortunately, sir, we'll need some form of payment. If not tonight, then we'll be forced to involve the authorities. People were recording now. Navev and Selma's faces were pale, panicked, cornered. The power couple image shattered. I turned to the manager. I'm willing to settle their bill. Navev looked up, shocked, hope flickering for half a second. If I continued, they both issue a public apology right now, loud enough for everyone in this room to hear, for taking advantage of me, for mocking me, for treating me like a wallet instead of a person. The hope died instantly. You can't be serious. Selma hissed. You want us to gravel? I leaned in just slightly. You want to walk out of here with your dignity or escorted out like frauds? Navev looked around the room. Every eye was on him. He knew. And finally, he cracked. He stood up slowly, cleared his throat, and said in a broken voice, I'd like to apologize to my son-in-law for abusing his kindness, for taking advantage. It was wrong. Selma looked ready to burst, but with a trembling breath, she stood beside him. I'm sorry, she said. We treated you poorly, and we were wrong to do so. I let the silence hang a moment, then nodded to the manager, put it on my card. As I signed the slip, I looked at Navev and said quietly, That's the last thing I'll ever pay for on your behalf. And with that, I walked out, my wife by my side. Chapter 4. The Last Receipt. We didn't speak on the ride home, not out of tension, but out of clarity. For once, there was nothing left to explain. Aisha sat beside me, her hand resting lightly on mine, her expression unreadable. When we reached our apartment, she finally spoke. I saw them tonight, she said softly, for who they really are. I said nothing, just let her words hang in the air. They've always used guilt like a weapon, she continued. Manipulated us with tradition, appearances, family pride. I thought that's just how it was supposed to be. But tonight, she looked at me, eyes firm. Tonight, you gave me back my voice. I didn't need a thank you. That was my thank you. The next morning, the fallout began. A video clip of the restaurant incident had gone viral. Someone had caught Navev's fake laugh, his stunned silence when the bill came, the waiter's neutral professionalism, and my calm line that cut deeper than any. Scream. I didn't order a single dish tonight. This bill is yours. It exploded on social media. Ark's son-in-law silence. Dine and deceive. Respect goes both ways. I didn't post anything I didn't need to. The internet spoke for me. Within days, Navi's business partners distanced themselves. One of them even issued a formal statement about misaligned values. Sama's Women's Committee, where she loved to boast about her family's respect and class, quietly revoked her honorary title. Several relatives reached out to Aisha privately. We never knew how badly they treated him. You both deserved better. And her parents. They didn't call, not once, not to apologize again, not to scream, not even to fake an illness for sympathy. Because entitlement dies quietly when the spotlight stays on. A few weeks later, Aisha and I moved to a new place across town. Smaller, cozier, but fully ours. No family hovering, no shame on the walls, just peace. On the night we moved in, we stood on the small balcony looking out at the city lights. I feel lighter, she whispered. I looked at her, smiled, and said, That's what happens when you stop carrying people who were never supposed to be your weight. She nodded, her eyes glassy, but grateful. We didn't toast with wine. We didn't order takeout. We just stood there. In quiet victory, because the greatest revenge is leaving them behind with the one thing they hate most. Silence and nothing left to take. Epilogue. The anniversary. They'll never forget. Months passed, the world moved on, but some reputations never quite recovered. Navev and Salma's social circle shrank overnight. Once the couple who strutted through gatherings like royalty, they now entered rooms with lowered heads and forced smiles. The invitations dried up. The whispers never did. They tried hosting a modest anniversary event later that year to reclaim some dignity.